Hi, this is Father Tom Page, speaking to you on the third week of our series of videos during this very unusual and sad time of the virus. Today we reflect a little bit upon the readings that we have at Mass that we're not able to hear together as we join together for Mass. Again, I'm Father Tom Page, and I'm the pastor of St. Jude Parish in Grand Rapids, and also the priest administrator of St. Anne Parish in Baldwin and St. Ignatius Parish in Luther. And it's especially to the folks of those three parishes that I bring my message here today. Today's gospel reading is one of those great readings that we have of Lazarus, a friend of Jesus, being raised from the dead after his sisters give him send a message up to Galilee to have Jesus come back. He's very sick. Could you come and save him? And so Jesus takes his time. He comes to the town of where Mary and Martha live, and Lazarus has already been in the tomb for 3 days. And so at that point, and I'm just going to give a little bit, because you know this story, but I'm just going to talk a little, or I'm just going to read a little bit of the gospel, but what I want to really focus on today is the first reading. So then after Jesus comes down, and the sisters of Lazarus tell him about Lazarus being dead, he goes to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay across it. Jesus said, "Take away the stone." He cried out in a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." The dead man came out, tied hand and foot with burial bands, and his face wrapped in a cloth. So Jesus said to them, "Untie him and let him go free." Quite a great time, quite a great event for us to reflect upon, just as we're about ready to get into Holy Week in a week from now, and the Feast of the Resurrection from the dead of Jesus the week after that. But what I'd like to focus especially on today is 2,000 or 600 years before that. So 2,600 years ago, the people of Israel had been overrun, and their town was sacked, and many of them were taken into exile. Their land was gone. They were now slaves. They were now in poverty. They were now in Babylon. And there was the threat that one of these days they were going to hear that their temple even had been destroyed. And a lot of them weren't ready to hear that. But Ezekiel was called to be a prophet by God. Ezekiel was called to be the one who would speak for God. And he told them, don't give up. He told them, get ready for the bad news. The bad news that your temple has been torn down. And many of them found that a difficult message. But ultimately, that's exactly what happened. And in the anguish and the sorrow and the anger of that moment, they turned again to Ezekiel as a prophet. And God spoke to Ezekiel and gave the people this message. And this is the first reading that we would have heard in church today on this fifth Sunday of Lent. Thus says the Lord God, O my people, I will open your graves and I will have you raised from them. I will bring you back to the land of Israel. Then you shall know that I am the Lord. Then I will open your graves and have you rise from them. O my people, I will put my spirit within you, so that you may live. I will settle you upon your land. Thus you will know that I am the Lord. I have promised it, and I will do it, says the Lord. That message from God through the prophet Ezekiel is a message not for just folks 2,600 years ago. I think that's the message for us too. Let me put my spirit within you. That's what our God invites us every day of our lives, but maybe particularly at this time in our history. Maybe particularly when we find within us, not just around us, but more dangerously within us, spirits that are contrary to God. Spirits of selfishness that just keep us focusing on ourselves, on our own suffering, on our own person, on maybe even our own families or our own communities. That spirit of selfishness, a spirit of greed when we want to take care of ourselves and who cares about anybody else. Sometimes we might detect within ourselves a spirit of pride, like the people of Israel. We're too good. We're God's people. God is not going to let our temple be destroyed. That spirit of pride can get in our way too, can fill our hearts. A spirit of anger, which just stops anything good from happening. The spirit of despair, which stops and makes life so difficult when we have no hope. God said to the people through Ezekiel the prophet, "But I will put my spirit in you, O my people, so that you may live." So that our spirit of selfishness that can creep in at times like this is dispensed by the Spirit of God's communion, our communion with one another, our communion with God. God can take that spirit of greed and turn it into service of one another. God can take that spirit of pride and bring a humility, God's spirit of humility within us. God can take that spirit of anger that we want to lash out at something or someone and turn that into a spirit of peace and actions that foster peace. Maybe most of all, needed today. The Spirit of God can take that spirit of despair and bring us hope. I will put my spirit within you, God said to the people of Israel, and he says to us, I have promised it, and I will do it, says the Lord. Hopefully this week, as we face bad news, just as the people of Babylon faced bad news in their time of slavery, in their time of suffering, and as they looked around and saw their brothers and sisters and parents and children getting sick and dying as slaves, hopefully during this time, we let the Spirit of God come to us. I will do it, our God says. O my people, I have promised it, and I will do it, says the Lord. A message especially for the people of St. Anne's and St. Ignatius. I'm the pastor at St. Jude's here, and you'll see I'm in the school entranceway, and our We Are One with all the saints banner here, or photo, not a photo, but a painting here done by John McCoy, an artist. I'm here, and I'm also the administrator at St. Anne's and St. Ignatius. And so what does that mean? Well, I'm discovering what that means, but here's what I found out. What a priest administrator does, first of all, is to make sure that there are priests to do masses on the weekend. Obviously, that hasn't been done. Obviously, we haven't had masses. But I'm already working on, and I'm very confident that we'll have priests once we start for masses throughout the several months to come in both in Baldwin and in Luther. So that's one of my tasks, to make sure that there's somebody there for Mass, and I'll be doing that sometimes, and other priests will be doing that sometimes. I think maybe one or two other priests. So I'm trying not to have like a different priest every week. So people that you may already know, priests that you may already know, and not so many total strangers. Also, a priest administrator makes sure that the practical needs of the parish are met. So we've begun working on that. And this Tuesday, I'll be in Baldwin, and I'll be meeting with some people, some of them by phone to keep safe, and some, two or three anyway, will gather with me at St. Anne's. But we'll be talking to at least two or three others to kind of put together making sure that the practical steps of the parish, the practical things of the parish are being taken care of correctly. So that, for instance, the generous donations that you've been sending in, that those are taken care of properly, that we're in a safe, healthy way, getting those from the post office, if you're sending them by mail, to the parish, and securely, making sure that that's counted, that's put in the bank, and then that's all recorded, to make sure that those parts of the things of the parish are done, and that then the bills that need to be paid will be paid. So we'll be getting together, and I'll be up this week to make sure that those processes are all in working order, while everything else seems to be kind of chaotic at this time. So I plan to be in Baldwin or Luther, or sometimes both, at least once a week during the next few months. So my term as administrator is for at least, bishops tend to say that, at least June 30th. Hopefully, after that time, a pastor is appointed, and life has gotten on as normal. So hopefully that's how it all works out. I hope in the meantime, though, to maybe once a week, once we're able to celebrate Mass, to have a Mass either at St. Ignatius or at St. Anne's during the during one of the weekdays during that time. And we'll kind of be looking at that and sorting that out. I'll be continuing to monitor the operations of the parish and trying to make sure that the great spirit of service, especially, that you all have engendered in not only the parishes, but in the community of Lake County continues on. I hope that by July 1st, you'll have a new pastor. And I hope that that pastor continues the work of Father Ron Schneider and all the other pastors that you have that have touched the hearts of so many, so that you might continue to touch the hearts of so, that you might continue to touch the hearts of others as they have. So I hope to be meeting you soon. I hope that as this time of virus ends, that we will get through it confident in the Spirit of God with us and within us, and I hope to be able to see you personally. But look here each week, and I'll have a different message coming each weekend. Thank you.